Well, nothing like the glitz, glamour, and prestige of the Indy 500, but you can't race if you don't qualify. I'm Connie LeGrand.
I'm Ralph Sheheen. We've qualified #1 for the race through the next half hour of Speed News. Well, rain washed out the plans of IRL officials to run pole qualifying for the 89th running of the Indianapolis 500 on Saturday. Overcast skies and a dry track greeted the teams on Sunday, along with the potential of history to be made, with the first woman to possibly win the pole at Indy. The action started early. Reigning IndyCar Series champion Tony Kanaan was the third car out on the track. The Andretti Green driver grabbed the provisional pole with a 227.566 mile-an-hour average. There was a tremendous amount of anticipation for Danica Patrick's shot at the clocks. She was the 8th car out. The Ray Hall Letterman machine wiggled in turn 1. It cost her big, and even though she was fastest in the morning, she ended up 3rd, but would get knocked down further as the day went on. Another rookie, Ryan Briscoe, driving for Chip Ganassi Racing, had the scariest moment of the day with this incident. The car gets airborne, but lands back on its wheels. Ryan was okay. Sam Hornish Jr. qualified a disappointing 10th on his first attempt. But with 3 hours left in the session, Roger Penske became the first car owner to pull an entry as they sent Sam back out. Hornish put in the best 4 laps of the day for a Toyota-powered car with a 227.273 mile-an-hour average, jumping up to the middle of the front row. Patrick and her Ray Hall crew think about pulling her car. They decide not to. Dario Franchitti waved off his first run of the day, went out again, qualified a solid 7th. The team decided to pull that run. Dario does improve by 1 spot. He grabs 6th with a 226.873 average. Less than 9 to go. Elio Castroneves qualified comfortably in 4th, pulls his car and attempts to re-qualify. This time the gamble doesn't work. Castroneves falls to 5th from 4th. Pole sitter Tony Kanaan breathes a big sigh of relief. The 227.566 mile-an-hour average puts the Andretti Green Racing entry onto the pole. 2004, he was 2nd. In 2003, he was 3rd. Maybe this year, he gets the win.
And let's get right to Robin Miller at the Speedway, who's with the pole sitter. Hi, Robin and Tony.
Hey, kids. Tony Kanaan is, he's got to have the pole for one of the longest times because he went out so early in the day, went and had lunch with his beautiful wife, and then kicked back because he knew it was safe. Now, tell the truth, kid, because you usually do. Did you think it would stick after the first run?
No. I mean, I felt that I left something on the table. I went too fast, too quick in the first lap, warm-up lap. So I had a little bit left, but I was ready to do it again if I had to.
And your old buddy, Elio Castroneves, trying to undercut his fellow Brazilian, goes out and ends up losing the spot. But Penske threw both his. The only guy that really benefited today was Sam Hornish. It looked like Dario just couldn't find things. Weldon was real slow. With all the interaction between you guys, you were surprised there's not more of your teammates up there with you?
Yes, I was, and we tried everything. I mean, we put my setup in their car, and it didn't work. I mean, I don't know why. Maybe the conditions for me were perfect at that time of the day. It's all about the conditions, too. I don't think I got any worse, but they haven't got any better either. So it worked on my way a lot today. So, you know, that's what it takes to be an Indianapolis winner or a pole winner here in this place. So we'll help them out to get a better race car for sure.
So in the last hour, did you start to think, okay, everybody's going to gang up on me now, or were you surprised that maybe there weren't as many people?
No, I knew it was like at least 3 cars that could meet me, or 4, like Sam again if he had tried, Elio, Miller and Danica. I said if they go out again, it's going to be tough for us. So I was ready to go. I had my helmet on, sat in my car, and I said, well, hopefully I won't have to do it again, but I was ready to do it.
All right, he wins $100,000, which he hasn't told his wife yet.
$1,
He told her it was $1 for winning the pole. Last year, he told her he made $6,000 for the Indy 500 because she's from Brazil and she doesn't know everything about English yet. But good job today, kid. And like we said earlier, in today's scheme of things, the only guy that really improved himself was Sam Hornish Jr., who ended up 2nd quick.
You know, I knew what Tony ran earlier on, and I knew that if we could keep that speed up there and be consistent, but you know, it just fell off a little bit. I could actually feel the air getting cooler. I mean, it was really strange, but that's the big thing that I remember noticing, and the time just started falling off after that 2nd lap.
It was pretty amazing. It was almost humorous watching Happy Hour all week and just seeing the game, people just waiting for these drafts. I'm like, you're not learning anything. You're just going for the media time there. But we tried to see what we realistically could do, and ran some 26s during the week, but to come out and run 27s, I think you're peaking at the right spot, and we'll just see what the guys come up with.
You know, you go out there and you really try and push it all into one, and you go, here I go, and it's everything you can do. And it's just a shame that butt of my car just decided that it wasn't going to hang on in that first corner. But I'm proud of everyone, and I'm flattered that, you know, so many people are supporting me, and I'm having a good experience my first time in Indy.
I was disappointed because I circled 227 is really the target, and you know, we had it trimmed and just couldn't quite get there.
I'm not sure what exactly happened. I think this is Indianapolis, sometimes just confuses you, but we're pretty happy with what we got. It's all I could do. I was flat out for 4 laps, and you know, I tried to drive as smooth as I could. Just that's the way it goes sometimes.
Probably the biggest surprise, I think Scott Sharp maybe snuck in there and people thought, and maybe Tomas Scheckter wasn't as fast as his teammate Buddy Lazier, who gave Chevrolet their best starting spot. But again, like we said yesterday, Honda, until it's proven otherwise, kids, are still the fastest guys around this joint, and anywhere there's an oval, Honda's ruled for the last 2 years. But I do think that Penske's made huge jumps with his Toyota. He's the only Toyota team smiling today, and I think when you come on race day, Hornish and Castroneves are going to be right there chomping at the bit. So back to you kids in the studio.
Okay, Robin, and I'm sure Tony's wife understands the color green. It's universal. Stay put, and we'll hear from you coming up.
And make sure that you tune into Windtone tonight, because you can get more coverage of Indy with Dave Despain. He's going to have Chip Ganassi, Sam Schmidt, and Andy Granatelli all on the show tonight. Here's a look at that front row. All IRL IndyCar Series champions. Of course, Tony Kanaan, the reigning series champion. There's Scott Sharp on the outside of row number 1. As you just heard from Robin, maybe he snuck in there, but maybe Sam Hornish can get the win.
And let's check out row number 2. There is Patrick leading the way. 2-time Indy winner Helio Castroneves, Dario Franchitti. And on row 3, we have Vitor Meira, Kosuke Matsuura, and Buddy Lazier.
Moving back to rows 4 and 5 today, Thomas Enga puts his Chevy Delari into the show. Tomas Scheckter will start right alongside of him, and Bruno Junqueira comes over from the Champ Car Series in the Newman Haas team. In row 5, Scott Dixon has one of Chip Ganassi's cars in there. Adrian Fernandez makes a first-time appearance this year, and there's the Champ Car champ, Sebastian Bourdais.
And here's the rest of the top 22. Roger Yasukawa, Brian Herta, Darren Manning, Richie Hearn, Jeff Buckman, and Alex Barron. More Inside from Indy is coming up, but we're also ready to pump up the highlights from other series that survived the storm.
Something for everyone when Speed News rolls on.
This Speed News Indy Racing League update is brought to you by Honda, proud sponsor of the Indy Racing League IndyCar Series.
Car 11 is number 1 on the scoring pylon at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Driver Tony Kanaan hopes to do what Rick Mears has done a record 3 times, win the Indy 500 from the pole position. We're on the Brickyard beat for the entire month of May, and it seems everyone was looking forward to seeing how strategies would play out in an effort to get the pole. Rain kind of changed that. So qualifying didn't go as planned. All eyes were on a combined first and second pole day at Indianapolis Superspeedway.
Of course, we have our Indy experts, Robin Miller and Derek Daly, live at the famed Speedway. Okay, guys, what stood out to you two this afternoon?
Well, I think Derek, being in this race several times, knows that this is a tough place to qualify, but I think coming into this thing, we thought Andretti Green might not have the whole front row, but they might have at least 2 of them, and they only have 1 of them in the top 3, and only have, you know, for these guys not to dominate like they have was the story of the day from my mind.
And as you watch Tony Kanaan, it's not unusual that he is on the pole. He's been fast here all month long, but Robin, as you correctly said earlier, they had 4 clear bullets that they could have shot here, and really the only thing that was on target was Kanaan, because Dan Weldon, you see him here, he just struggled all day.
And I think, you know, Dan Weldon just took he took his run and didn't go back and try again, which kind of surprised me, because Dario he went 3 times. He tried 3 times to do it. So I really think, and in Franchitti's case, he was kind of the drama at the end.
He really was, because he actually withdrew the qualified car, went back in that same car. And did he improve?
I think he went from 7th to 6th,
okay.
And Helio went from 4th to 5th.
Yeah,
and
which helped
Hornish,
Danica Patrick.
Yeah, obviously. And speaking of Danica Patrick,
she is, I mean, you know, she's been a big story here. She has been hounded by photographers, by well-wishers, by people looking for autographs, But Robin, I think she did a great job. Do you think she did a great job?
I do, and what I really am happy is she saved her car because she almost got away from it. It was so loose on the first lap, and then she turned the fastest lap of qualifying, which tells you a lot about somebody, you know, because you've been around this joint. What I'm really happy, though, is that Rahal didn't send her back out at the end and withdraw her speed because she's got enough pressure on her. She's a rookie. Don't send her out there and let her stick it in the fence trying too hard.
Believe it or not, little petite girl, 100 pounds, she's very brave, she's very brash. Rahal told me 2 days ago, she's got that bring it on, come on, bring it on to me attitude, not afraid of this place or these racing cars. And she made some of the bravest laps earlier in practice, well able to run this thing loose if necessary.
Well, you hit it best. She's got the best pedigree because she's been running Formula Ford since she was 16 in England, where you raced at the same time. And I think the other thing about her is she's kind of got a chip on her shoulder, and people go, well, she's not smiling. Well, she was unhappy because she thought she should have got the pole. That's what you want from a race driver.
So what about Penske? Hornish took a qualified car out and made good use of his second run.
Absolutely. I think he went from 7th to 2nd, and Sam's not the kind, you'd have thought that was going to happen with Castroneves because he's kind of the guy that always seems to go for it in qualifying. Sam's a little more laid back, but you know, come on, Derek. It's so funny to hear everybody talk about it all the time. Well, everybody's got the same Toyota. No, they don't. And these guys do have great engineers, and they're both great drivers, but they've got more horsepower than all these other Toyotas do. I don't care what you say.
They may well have, but Hornish was the first official car to ever be withdrawn and qualify the same car again under these new rules, this new format. Do you like the new format?
I don't, because I'm an old school 55-year-old curmudgeon, but I'm glad that
you are that.
There was a little bit of drama at the end, so that's good. That's what you want. You had Castroneves and you had Franchitti, and the only thing I've seen that was a little more dramatic was the day he got rained out sitting in the qualifying line, folks.
Make no mistake about it, a bigger story than Tony Kanaan will be Danica Patrick on race day.
Quite possibly the only truth in there, 55-year-old old school curmudgeon when talking about Robin Miller. All right, the month of May is off and running. Stay with us.